Welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm your host, Chief David Molloy, Director of Public Safety with the City of Novi, and I'm very honored to have two distinguished guests joining us here today. We have Sergeant Brian Wolosky and Officer Eric Lindblade from our Uniform Patrol Division, and both of these gentlemen are also our Special Response Team operators. So, gentlemen, welcome to Behind the Badge.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sergeant, why don't you tell us with a little bit of a description, your background, your education, some of your prior experience, what brought you here today to the Novi Police Department?
Originally, I'm from Michigan. Grew up in Michigan on the east side. Went to college, graduated from Eastern Michigan University. From Eastern Michigan, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, served my time, got out of the Marine Corps, came back to Michigan, and started or pursued my career as a police officer. Was hired by an agency in in Royal Oak, and then soon came to Novi. Was privileged to come here. I've been with Novi for about 12 years now.
Now currently serving in our uniform division?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Patrol sergeant?
Yes, sir.
And your experience in the military, I think you were somewhat humble. You didn't mention that you were a captain in the United States Marine Corps.
Right. I achieved the rank of captain before I got out. It was a great rank.
Yeah.
And, pursued law enforcement after that.
You've held a variety of special assignments within the organization as well?
Yes, I have.
Tell us a little bit about those.
I was undercover surveillance officer with South Oakland Narcotics Investigative Consortium. From there, I went to the Drug Enforcement Administration. I was a task force officer, serving down there for 3 years.
And I think one of your highlights of your career with DEA, you did a lot of major high-profile cases, but correct me if I'm wrong, you were one of the first task force officers that actually wrote and developed a successful Title III or a wiretap warrant.
I did. It was challenging. It's something that I wanted to do. It's something that task force guys rarely do. Some want to do it, and I just pursued it.
Yeah.
And it's a long, lengthy process.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, kudos to you for that, and I know that was part of a larger case that we can't talk about because it is an ongoing investigation,
yes,
but kudos to you for everything that you accomplished. Officer Lindblade, tell us a little bit about your background, your education.
Eric Lindblade, I went to Saginaw Valley State University. Graduated in 1998, went to the academy, got hired here right out of the academy in Novi. Been a patrol officer for 14 years. I did serve 4 years as an undercover unit with Sergeant Wolosky in our local Sonic unit and also at the Drug Enforcement Administration.
Yeah. You guys have both had very, very similar careers. And tell us a little about, obviously you're dressed in some different type of uniforms. Tell us a little bit about the background of how this has evolved and what your position actually is as a special response team operator.
Well, back in, I believe, 94, 95, West Bloomfield created the Special Response Team. They've kept that ongoing since then. The City of Novi joined up with them last year as a consortium to join resources. A Special Response Team takes a lot of resources, time, money, and obviously bodies. So the way, like Sonic, we joined up as a Special Response Team to share in the costs and the bodies.
Yeah.
So.
And Eric, tell us a little bit about, you guys have gone through, first and foremost, there was a very extensive and physically challenging selection process. And it wasn't just, okay, we picked 4 people, but a very rigorous selection. Can you tell us a little bit about that selection process?
Yeah, the selection process, there was an interview with our administration, and then we had to do a physical test, which involved running, dragging dummies, sprinting, jumping, everything that we were going to have to do at the actual SRT Academy. And then after that, the 4 selected officers went to the academy. It was a 2-week academy, very, very difficult. We were there 16, 17 hours a day, working on shooting, running, physical agility, raid entry, surveillance.
And beyond the tactics portion, obviously, gentlemen, very physically fit. That's a necessary element of actually serving on this team. But also your commitment. You know, it's 24/7. You guys are on call. When people get in trouble, they call the police. When the police get in trouble, they call you. And to have that mental preparation is absolutely key. What's been one of the biggest challenges you think thus far in your early careers as response team operators?
I guess the one of the biggest challenges that I can think is becoming unified with West Bloomfield. It's going the synergy is going well, but we've been together for a year now, but just becoming that tight-knit unit that we have to be. And each month we train, we get closer and closer. And I think that's the biggest challenge.
That's great.
And it is small little things. It's the uniforms, just all of us looking uniform and having different companies that get our uniforms
Right.
and different equipment.
Weaponry.
Just getting it all the same, so everyone knows what each other's doing, and we flow together.
And this is a great partnership because Chief Patton approached us a couple years ago and said, let's take a look at that. We've always had a long-standing partnership relationship with Farmington Hills Police Department, West Bloomfield, Oakland County Sheriff with our SONIC, our South Oakland Narcotics and Investigation Consortium. That's been a great resource. This is just another expansion of that to where we all don't need our own special response team, but there's going to be a time when we have to utilize that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program on why we need this asset available. Novi, Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield, all very safe communities, but sometimes bad things do happen, and we need to have these resources available. A little bit about some of the weaponry and some of the equipment we have here. Can you tell the viewing audience a little bit about what we have?
This rifle here is our primary weapon system. We carry long guns for entry. It's a short-barreled rifle. It's a SIG 5.52 Commando, which we are currently in the process of phasing out. It's a great weapon system. It is our primary weapon. We do carry a secondary, which would be our pistol. It's capable full auto 3-round burst. It fires a 223 round with a 10-inch barrel, so it's short and it's good for entry work.
Great, great. Officer Lindblade, the shield that the viewers may see.
The shield is it's a tactical shield for entries. It stops 223 rounds. It does have a light on it, so people can, the main guy, the front guy, can see where he's going. It does have a viewing port where they can see, so they don't have to stick their head out, and it's extremely safe. This is one of our smaller ones, so it's more agile around doors in smaller houses.
But it all comes back to that physical ability and having that capacity and that health and fitness, because to carry that shield, which is about 35 pounds, it will stop a 223 round, but then you also have your pistol at the ready. To be in that type of physical shape is absolutely demanding, and a testament to your guys' work ethic and your preparation. So outstanding. We're going to take a quick break on Behind the Badge, and we'll be back with Sergeant Woloski and Officer Lindblade, so stay tuned.
Additional resources I get mutual aid from the city of Novi at this time.
Well, not everyone can be a firefighter. There's a proud few.
It's definitely a job that there's times your adrenaline rushes.
There's plenty to learn, lots of things to do, and it's great fun doing it.
Welcome back to Behind the Badge. We're continuing to join here with Officer Eric Lindblade and Sergeant Brian Woloski from our Uniform Patrol Division. Both these gentlemen are also Special Response Team operators as part of a joint Special Response Team we have with the West Bloomfield Township Police Department. Sergeant, talk to us a little bit about some of the, in addition to the basic SRT Operator Academy that you went through in Western Wayne, the training course consortium, talk to us a little bit about the ongoing training monthly that you all engage in.
Right, correct, yes, sir. Like you said, every month we do train. We try to train at least once a month. Each month it's usually something different, and we try to keep the high frequency stuff, train on the high frequency stuff that we're going to do. Mostly close quarter battle techniques, building entries, room entries, We do touch on physical fitness, obviously, as much as we can, and firearms training.
And some of these close quarter battles and training that you do, I can imagine that you're right here and Officer Lindblade's probably right here and you guys are training and you have rounds, obviously doing it in a safe manner, but a scenario that you guys may find yourselves in.
Correct. Last couple months ago, we actually did train in a facility that was a shoot house. It was a live shoot house. We had our entire team in this house. It's set up like a house, and you're firing live rounds. And you have to be aware of your partner or the rest of your team members. It's a dangerous situation.
Absolutely. And I know, Officer Lindblade, you all have utilized our Firearms Training Center at the Department of Public Services. How has that helped you in terms of your training? Because it being a fully tactical range that we can fire in a lot of different directions.
Tremendously. Me and Sergeant Wolowski can go and shoot whenever we need to, just to practice on our own as well as for the RSRT team. And then when we come together with West Bloomfield, you have to be a team. And like you said, you have one guy shooting over someone else's shoulder, so you know that you have to trust that guy and you have to trust the rest of your team when you're going in a close quarter battle.
Yeah.
So that training there is it's very, very good.
Good. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the other two gentlemen, Sergeant Adam Elson from the Novi Police Department and Sergeant Andrew Hudacek, police officer with the City of Novi, also trained, members of the Special Response Team. I think what I also admire about you all is the fact that your fathers, your husbands, and you guys take that beyond to where not only do you train together as a team, but your spouses have a network with other teammates from your special response team, so they kind of understand what it is you go through. And how's that worked out?
Tremendous. And it's even closer with them now than ever, especially with certain call-outs that we had recently. Our wives have gotten together and created a network that's it's actually incredible. I think my wife's more in tune with law enforcement work and what we do out there now more than ever. And I think getting with the other wives.
They're their own little team now.
Good.
Which makes our job a lot easier because we do get called out.
And that's something I kind of wanted to touch upon too, is you guys do see some pretty not only dangerous scenarios, but you've also seen had situations where you've worked on call-outs where officers have been shot and unfortunately where officers have been killed. Your mental health, that's as the police chief, your health, safety, and well-being is my number one paramount concern. And can you talk a little bit about some of the debriefing that you go through in terms of the critical incident and some of the stress debriefing that you go through?
Sure. Obviously, in any situation, we're offered team through the city, and in critical incidents where there's officer-involved shootings or where you are discharging your firearm, there's the opportunity for us to speak with psychiatrists or psychologists regarding the incident. The effects on that are not really known. It's like being in a battle, being a Marine or a soldier, an airman, or what can happen. And so just talking it out and discussing your issues, that's offered to us as well.
That's great. That's great. And that's something that's always going to be made available. And even in terms of how we've changed things, I remember when I first started in the organization, if you were involved in a shooting or a use of force, you had to make a police report. You had to write a report within 48 hours. We've totally done a 180 on that now to where when there's a use of force incident, we don't even want to talk to you for a minimum of 48 hours. In fact, I think we want you to at least go through 2 sleep cycles.
Correct.
Because evidence and this evidence-based analysis of recreating these situations, you're not going to remember everything if we make you put that into a report within the first 48 hours. But once you go through those sleep cycles, you're actually able to recall and recount with a much greater accuracy in terms of what transpired. So, and I know, Sergeant, you were very involved in not only our firearms program, but both of you in terms of revising that policy and bringing that forward, and that's been a great addition for us. So thank you for that. Let's talk, if you will, real briefly about some of the recent activities that you've been involved in. I know we had something recently in this past week that you all mitigated in a safe manner.
Correct. Most recently was we had a barricaded suicidal subject with a knife on the southeast side of the city of Novi. Our Uniform Patrol Division responded, set up a perimeter. We had some crisis negotiators that arrived on scene, and we tried to mitigate the situation that way. The individual had some psychological problems, was highly intoxicated, was holding a knife to his throat, had made statements that if anybody were to enter his house, he would come at us with a knife and force us into a deadly force situation where we would have to shoot him. We held back. The negotiators did a fantastic job keeping that subject in our view and de-escalating the situation until a special response team could arrive. Once the special response team arrived on scene, we formulated a plan and we made entry, de-escalating the situation, getting the individual the help that he needed.
Yeah. Officer Lindblade, I know you were also very intricately involved in the situation the other night. Tell us a little bit from your standpoint, uniformed officer, how your specialized training now helps you train other people.
It was nice to have to go out there and have Sergeant Elson and Sergeant Wolowski out there, as well as two negotiators that were working the road. When we arrived, the negotiators were already speaking with the subject. Sergeant Elson and Sergeant Wolowski already were in the early stages of formulating a plan for the SRT to be called out, just in case the situation escalated. We had a lot of veteran officers out there that knew what they were doing, but it was nice when we got there. They understood, set up a perimeter just so this guy would not leave the house. They had a view on all of the areas of the house where he could be. But when we got there, they knew what to do. But it was nice that they even said after, it was nice seeing the SRT team out there to actually learn a little more what we want when we arrive on scene.
And I think it was excellent from my vantage point, from the incident command position, watching how quickly, and that's another feature of this team, is that we can have boots on the ground, if you will, or on scene within 30, 45 minutes. And I think that's another valuable component of it. But even more so, Sergeant, is the fact that you can set up specialized training now for our uniformed men and women and provide them with some of the training that you all have.
Correct. We try to incorporate that in our training, in our annual training, in our marksmanship rifle pistol training. We try to incorporate the additional training that we have with our uniformed patrol officers. So if, at least at the initial stages of any incident, we can set up the groundwork for the SRT team when they do arrive.
And I think what's sometimes overlooked is this situation the other night. Very dangerous, suicidal subject committed a felonious assault upon his spouse. Obviously some intoxicated, but there was also some mental health issues. You all managed that, you mitigated it. No one was injured, there was no loss of life. You were able to take him successfully into custody without incident. We were able to get him the medical treatment, the psychological treatment, charged with a felony and domestic violence, and we were able to solve that in a very effective, not rapid, because we don't need to be rapid in those situations. We just need to be efficient and effective. So you all did an outstanding job in that respect. So I mean, you have my highest commendations for everything you did there. That was outstanding.
Thank you.
Your specialized uniforms, your specialized equipment, that stuff doesn't come free. You want to talk to us a little bit about how that's funded, because that kind of goes part and parcel to some of your prior work when both of you were assets assigned to DEA.
Sure, exactly. Pretty much most of all of our equipment that we've acquired for the SRT team, as well as even going back to our firearms training center, it's all been funded by federal forfeiture money. So the money that we seize from narcotics investigations down in the DEA or through Sonic pays for all these funds, for all our equipment.
And you obviously have several different types of specialty uniforms. You don't come to work in those every day, but in the event that you're activated for an SRT call-out, you go from your normal blue uniform to this, and I think you have other variations depending on what environment you're operating in.
Correct.
So,
as well as the weather too.
Correct, absolutely. And that kind of brings me to a question. We're going to be getting into the winter months here, so I assume you'll probably be doing some cold weather training as well, where you have to be just as proficient, just as accurate, just as agile and flexible in those types of situations as well.
Right. Obviously, we don't operate in a bubble. Everything is fluid and changing, and even the weather, to even each incident we come to, nothing's static, nothing's the same. So we have to train every day, train like we play.
Right, absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both. I want to thank you both first and foremost for appearing here, but more importantly, thank you for everything you do, not only for the Novi Police Department, but for our community, and obviously now for the partnership we have with West Bloomfield Township. again, in this day and age of limited resources, shared services, we continue to lead that way with some of the partnerships that we have. And my hat's off to you, both of you, for not only your enthusiasm, your professionalism, but the energy that you put in every single day when you come to work. It's a very dangerous job with law enforcement that you do, but it's also even more so when you gentlemen raise your hands and say, we'll take on this added responsibility to keep the other police officers and keep the community members safe. So I appreciate all you do, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to you, the viewing audience, thank you for tuning in to Behind the Badge. And until next time, continue to watch Novi Television.